In cases that I have, because I work with kids and adults, what I found, especially in recent cases, is probably um, discouragement in themselves.
Yeah.
A few people that I have, it's like they have good resumes, they have good interview skills and things like that. And to the point where they'll get the job until the background check comes back.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that kind of happens so many times, like their drive at times starts to go down. And
Yeah.
it's like we can't do that. We got to stay focused. We got to stay motivated. That's an aspect of the job search. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not going to get every single one. Sometimes it's not us. Sometimes we weren't the right fit for the position.
Right.
And that's not the same as not being fit.
Yeah.
So I always try to, in these individuals, try to be motivating and try to have very encouraging words because, I mean, sometimes I can see it in the eyes, and kind of how you was talking about earlier a little bit. There was a moment that I had here recently where an individual that's working on reentry, they had a person in front of them tell them like, yeah, I know how you feel. And then they stopped them. Like it kind of got a tense moment because it was, no, you don't know how I
Yeah.
feel.
You did.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of something that I have at times where it's like, I don't know how you feel. I can
Right.
try to help. I don't know what that discouragement or that level of discouragement
Yeah.
feels like.
Exactly.
And I think that's something. I mean, I work close to it and I don't understand. So I know that in most cases it's not something that people are going to be able to understand or know how to maneuver it.
Exactly. And like you were saying, back to being able to get the job, you're doing your best you can, and then that background come back, and then now they gotta let you go, and then they don't even want to fight for you to keep it, knowing that you are the perfect candidate. So that's back to what we do. I'm advocating for stuff like that as well. It's a reentry program. Yeah, I'm assisting people the best way I can, but at the same time, I'm in the same shoes that they're in. I have to advocate because who's going to do it for me
Right.
if I'm doing
Right.
it for everybody
No,
else?
you're right.
So
No, you're right.
it's very important to make sure you got that you let them know that. Like you're saying, you're going to try to keep them motivated and let them know, just to keep fighting for that because you're better than what they think you are.
Right.
So,
One thing I think will be neat later on. Mike has found some interviews. So everybody, on different the guys he was talking about, they interview very well, but then the background check come back. That's where their thing is. But some people don't even know how to interview.
yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the thing, when it comes interview period, they have nothing to do with, returning, citizens just don't even know how to interview at all. So that's a lot of times when we get on I mean, if they gotta their mind gotta be open because it's VR. So, you get on the VR and it kind of teaches. It's neat in a way. But I know some people, kind of, drawn back by it, but that's just the way, of getting just, you getting some hands-on things instead of just, us talking about it as well. I mean, there's also entrepreneurship, which we teach too. For because like I said before, I spoke to you about this about doing jobs where you can do it, and then I mean, and they ain't really asking about your record other than the fact give you a resume or whatever, but then you can go in do your thing or whatever. We talking about some cleaning windows or whatever it may be. I mean, you got to think who asked for ID. I mean, basically for that, but you just clean the windows and go on, but making very good money at it. But being an entrepreneurship, cutting hair, different things like that. Which I ain't saying these things are hard. I mean, I'm not saying you got to go to school for them,
Yeah.
but there are programs that we're involved with that can help you with these things. I mean, so it's hand in hand. Just Jobs for Hope, they do a great job. I mean, you work with them, and you work with them as well. I mean, I think the thing with the partnership with Generations would be great. I really do because I think you'll start to see a shift, right? Because once the mental, right? Because then you got to think we're talking about it. You lived it, and like I told you, I mean, I know it from being a counselor. Not to say I know how you feel. That's just not a word you use,
Yeah.
Or I know what you're going through. I don't know what you're going through, right? I can just help you through whatever you are going through. I can't say that I know what you feel. I don't know, But as far as reentry, I do know because it has nothing to do with incarceration. You said that it doesn't have anything to do with incarceration. But I was at a job, doing real well, but I just tell you, I couldn't pass the test to go further. I'm just tell you, it didn't. So I just shifted. I just shifted, like, that during that time, I shifted my, what I was going to do. But it's the same thing. I just tell you, I mean, worked at a, soft drink distillery or whatever for a while, and then I went on and switched over. But it was the best thing. But at the time, I didn't know it. You know what I mean? I didn't know that, and worked at one of the worst jobs I could ever have. But it was one of the best jobs I could ever have too. Renting cars. I won't say the name of it, but it wasn't the actual place. It was just the actual kind of the atmosphere I guess I was in.
Right.
It really wasn't what I was used to. I'm used to helping people, but I'm only used to helping them in a certain way,
Right.
not so much to guide them into something.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in, helping, and I'm not saying they wasn't, but it's just different. I mean, a different tactic that I wasn't used to, but I'm glad I experienced it. But it was reentry.
Right.
Let's get it right. It was reentry. It was me, learning different things, and not really, really grasping on the past of what I had to leave it then. I had to leave the past as soon as I turned my 2 weeks notice, and I had to leave it. I mean, and go, and it was tough. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you, it was tough. But through that, you just learn and you just build. You build on certain things, but you're gonna fail. I mean, let's get it right. At times, you will fail, but I put it up over there. Sometimes you become strong during the hard seasons. The hard seasons of your life, you become more strong. You become stronger by getting through them. Some of it, you put yourself in that position. I'm not gonna sit there and say some of it didn't though. I can't say everybody's put themselves in a bad position. Sometimes it happens, but how you get up and how you get second chances. That's the thing. And so, tell me about this. So, how do you find the employers willing? Because two questions. There are employers willing to hire and give people a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. But when you first started out, was that the case?
No, because I felt like I go into this business thinking that no employer will hire a convicted felon. Right. That's the mindset you got to have. Like, I'm going in there to convince them that we can, that people in my position could do that. So that's where the interview skills come in, because if you could maneuver around that question when they ask you, then you in there. Yeah. Like, it's so many jobs that I've worked at, and when the background come back and they see it, they're like, I wouldn't even have knew. Like, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, you get what I'm saying? So, that's the way I go into these jobs. Like,
but have you swayed a few?
Yeah.
That's not easy.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't think you understand. It's not easy to get them to get any. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. It's not easy to get an employee hired who have a clean background. And never compared about. You know what I mean? Because everything. Some employers looking for that right person, or looking at. Sometimes it doesn't come that way. You have to build that right person.
You gotta let them know that you need them. Like, we need people like you to help people like us.
Exactly.
Right. If you could give a person a chance, then maybe the next person to do it, the next person do it too.
Right.
It's like dominoes.
It's funny you said that, because it's like, it's been a while. It's a restaurant down the street from here. I ain't gonna say the name of it because it's not bad, but I see they're going through a transition. They left, some managers left, so there's some new ones coming. But now I start to see, it's been about a couple months, but now I see the shift of them training the people that they have now in order to get them back up in the state. So now it's running a lot better than it was a month ago. But sometimes we don't even see that. I don't even see it because I go there a lot. But you don't even see it. But that's a lot of different places now. They see, there's a lot of different turnover in jobs as well. And when that happens, like I said, for now that has happened, that's why what you do is very important. Oh, we wanted the people did that, but I'm just saying they don't want. I ain't gonna say this ain't not a blanket thing, but I mean. They ain't trying to work. Or what you say? $9 an hour. What you say? I mean, they ain't trying to do right. They ain't trying to do. But nevertheless, did you know it could be a raise coming up in 30 days or 90 days or whatever?
Yeah.
They want to see that you there. They ain't gonna do this hand and see, but sometimes it's like I'm worth more than that. I don't know. I mean, when I left that job, I had to understand, and I was making good money, but I had to understand that I might not make that money again. That time. Crazy thing about it, about maybe a year after that, I did make the same money, but the job wasn't the job I was telling you about renting cars, but it was another one. And it wasn't what you cracked. So don't ever, and I think that's one of the things I guess you would do would be money. Yeah. Like how much you get paid an hour and stuff like that. I want 15, 20. I mean, it doesn't always happen that way.
No, it don't. And that's they felt well. We have failed to realize that just be grateful that somebody's willing to take you in right now at this moment. That's how I look at it now. Like $9 an hour, yeah, it's kind of shaky. You ain't gonna be able to take care of your family. I'm letting you know this now. But like you said, in 30 days, you might be a manager.
Yeah, you're right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
They bring you in.
Because the turnover.
Yeah.
The work might speak for itself.
The work has to speak for itself. You get what I'm saying? You already going in with a barrier. You got a felony.
Right,
Okay.
right.
You were a drug addict about 6-7 months ago. So yeah, we're gonna bring you in this $9. We're gonna make sure you ain't stealing from us. We'll make sure you ain't harassing unemployment. You ain't beating on nobody.
Right.
And
right.
You're great. Let's go ahead and move you on up into the next level. We trust you now. That's what it is. You just got to build the trust back.
Right. I mean, you're right about that.
It's all it's about. It's building trust.
And I think that's a lot, when it comes to, I think that's a lot of employers are looking for that trust, right? I mean, and that's, one of the things about it is how do you gain that? Do you follow through with what you're saying? Sometimes I tell my daughter that all the time. Just don't say it. I don't think you get the power. Just don't say the promise or what you're going to do. Then I'm not expecting you to do it. But once you say it, I kind of expect you to do it because that's what your word is. A lot of people don't understand how valuable your word still is.
Yep.
I know, but you know why we don't? Because so many people don't go by it. And that's really hard. I mean, at times, a lot of times it's you want to be treated fairly, right? We trust people more when their actions meet what their words say. That's why I said what you do is showing up is bigger than that. Because once you do that, then down your actions are, oh shoot, I'm here. You know what I mean? Instead of just saying, oh, whatever. Because right now, a lot of things you do, from what I've heard, just a bunch of felons is a nonprofit.
Yeah.
That doesn't all mean that doesn't get money, but it's nonprofit. So you basically started it
with nothing.
Exactly right, and that happens, right? Yeah. I mean, and that's but to actually have something, there's other programs as well involved with that as well, just to help, right? Help, get you, office, and that what you're working on next, right?
Yep.
Right. So I mean, that's the thing, with those things as well.
It's important to get an office. I said that, but if I got, I just kept saying like, I don't even need nowhere right now. Right. As long as I got all the partnerships that I need, just they could come to me and I could, there you go, and I help them see it through. That's it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? I didn't know nothing about the resources that we have now. Like until I got into this organization, I didn't know about the summit.
Right.
I didn't know about Generation Sales. I didn't know about Seed Sower, just Jobs and Hope. I knew about nothing.
I think a lot of times you'll know this. It's like, sometimes when you associate just the associations, right?
Yep.
You don't know because you just don't know. Just kind of like the car you got now. Yep. You probably never seen that car.
No.
Now you see 1,000. It's just how it is. I mean that association. But yeah, there's a lot of places that help. A lot of people say the same thing you said about knowing. They just don't know. I mean, because where they looking at, we might not be, but if we go where they are, we will. Like you're not alone, and events like that, which we went to before. I think they got a couple more coming up. Those are great things to get the word out. Definitely, because people are definitely. You've been to them before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been to them before. So as I said, those are great things, and I think that is a way for the community to understand because there's different people there. We just did our first one the other day over in Fayette County, but I'm saying. It was amazing just to see, like I said before, because it didn't, is everybody just there, and we don't do that with anything other than, people attached to it. And I'm not getting on vendors. Vendors got to make the money too, don't get me wrong, but that part, a lot of vendors or whatever, but now nobody's selling anything.
Yeah.
Nobody's selling, so think about it, any place you go. I'm like, now I look back and saw that, I was like, man, that's pretty neat, everybody just, offering, water or whatever. Things like that as well. I mean, but that to me, it goes both ways, respect, right? Employers, just the same thing, but also we have to be as employers respect the people that come in the doors as well, right? Even more so to me, I believe, right? And that's not maybe everybody's thinking, but it is mine because you have to. You also have to avoid favoritism, and that's where I think we get into a lot of different things as well. The favoritism, I'm sure. In a workplace kind of comes up as well. Mm-hmm. And one thing you just did, like speaking professionally, those things they do matter. I mean, in a certain way. I mean, and that's definitely something that's good as well. Me too. I mean, like I said, I always have to think about that as well. Definitely in cases where because I think if as an employer, if we can think more objectively, not subjectively, then what you're saying, it won't always come into play, right? You got to it's one of those things where like you said about actions and words. You say you're inviting, but then you're not inviting. If you're not, what I mean, that's not what you want to do. I mean, not to me. I mean, like I said before, but I like what you said about accountability. That creates credibility. Accountability does. I mean, admitting your mistakes. That's all. I mean, admitting my mistakes. I mean, like I told you, I mean, and I make mistakes now. I mean, I'm trying to get better, right? But good leadership, we take responsibility. It's my fault. It's not, if somebody's not trained right, it's my fault. It's not theirs, right? It's not theirs, right? So I have to break it down to where, they can understand or learn, right? And then I'll know they don't want to do it, right? I mean, that's the thing. I think, it's catching people, and getting them equipped with things. That's why I said, I think a lot of times we say in an interview, I can do this, I can do that. It was a lady, I mean, that worked for me years ago, but she said and I don't know, I guess got a good memory when it comes to people saying things to me. Mm-hmm. So I remember her saying she was good at computers, but then when she got there, she didn't know how to work them. But I was like, well, she know how to do it. It's on my mind because because here's the thing, it wouldn't have been a big deal if you say, can I say right now, she doesn't work on computers and she's in the interview. Okay, we can teach you that. Right. But now that you said you could, think about it. When I said I could teach, right. I mean, it's different. I mean, so now I might have to spend time, not saying I wouldn't have, but it would have been easier just to be honest.
Yes, from the beginning. That's what happened. Well,